Hello and welcome to everyone watching at home. My name is Jonah Cole for iPulse, and today is February 10th. We have several stories to get to today, including ones that cover the Winter Olympics in Beijing, the increasing tensions in Ukraine, and stories that talk about events right here in Florida. But first, our top story today. Protests in Canada over COVID restrictions persist, even with several provinces changing guidelines. A blockade of protesters began restricting traffic at the Ambassador Bridge that connects Detroit and Windsor, Ontario 3 days ago. The activists are part of a larger group of Canadian citizens that have been protesting Canadian COVID guidelines for multiple weeks across the country. In response to these protests, several provinces, including Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Quebec, have rolled back guidelines such as vaccine passports and mask mandates.
In other news, Russia continues to deploy over 100,000 troops at Ukraine's eastern and southern borders. French President Emmanuel Macron met with Putin and claimed that Russia would not invade any further. However, Kremlin has denied any agreement being reached during the meeting. A Russian spokesman said, quote, "In the current situation, Moscow and Paris can't be reaching any deals." I'm Clifton Haskin.
In local news, earlier this week, Palm Beach County detectives released surveillance tape of a serial burglar who has been terrorizing businesses around Boca Raton. So far, the suspect has vandalized and robbed 12 different businesses, including Stallone's Italian Kitchen, Faux Boca, and others. The tape shows the man breaking into the facility with a crowbar and attempting to open the cash register, causing hundreds of dollars worth of damage. Detectives are now searching for this man and asking the public for help to identify him. I'm Ana Luisa Calvilla.
This last Sunday, an elderly woman fell to her death while crossing a drawbridge in West Palm Beach. The woman was crossing the Royal Park Bridge when it began to rise. She hung on to a nearby railing in an attempt to save herself. A male bystander attempted to save her by grabbing her hand, but was unsuccessful, and the woman fell 5 to 6 stories onto the concrete landing. She was pronounced dead on the scene. The police have not been able to identify the woman, and she was described as an older woman and possibly a West Palm Beach resident. I'm JT Scott.
Today, Connecticut and Massachusetts joined 2 other states in lifting mask mandates in school districts as cases of Omicron have stabilized in recent weeks. Connecticut School Superintendent Jeffrey Sloan said, quote, "Unfortunately, this is not a situation where you are going to make everyone happy. We can't allow those individual passions to decide the debate," end quote. Here in Florida, Governor DeSantis' mask mandate bill, signed in November, gives parents the right to decide whether their children should wear masks in public schools. I'm Brian Ryder.
It is reported college students and their parents are in a state of confusion about whether the situation with COVID is getting better or worse. According to the Pew Research Center, parents are concerned about decisions to keep schools open. The Washington Post states how some students in Virginia worry about the future without COVID vaccine mandates. Some people believe that COVID has been easier since many students have been vaccinated. However, according to the New York Times, the U.S. has had higher COVID death rates than other wealthy countries. I am Jalen Alou.
Hospitals around the U.S. are beginning to limp out the latest COVID-19 surge. Across the U.S., the number of people in the hospital with COVID-19 has tumbled over the past 3 weeks, said Dr. Chris Boyer, quoted, "We've been proven wrong twice already with Delta and Omicron, so that adds to people's anxiety and uncertainty and senses of like, when does this end?" A New York City emergency room physician tweeted a week ago, "Just worked 12 hours in the ER on a busy Monday and didn't have a single COVID patient." I am Jonas Duncan.
In the West, there has been a case of the mysterious medical condition known as Munchausen syndrome by proxy. Kelly Turner is currently facing several counts of first-degree murder after pleading guilty to killing her 7-year-old daughter in Denver, Colorado. Psychiatrists say Turner's behavior is consistent with Munchausen syndrome by proxy, a disorder in which parents or caregivers seek attention regarding the illness of their children or dependents. In 2012, Kelly Turner began telling doctors that her 7-year-old was ill with numerous diseases. 5 years later, after many hospitalizations, her daughter died. Turner's behavior raised suspicions. It wasn't until Turner brought another daughter to the same hospital with bone pain that the doctors looked into the situation and concluded Turner was fabricating that illness and the death of her other child. I'm Samantha Del Valle.
A report from obstetrics and gynecology says women have been experiencing painful cramps, delayed periods, and other changes in their menstrual cycles after getting the COVID vaccines. The research confirms cycles were extended on average by less than a day after one vaccine dose, or up to 2 days for those who got 2 doses within a single cycle. I'm Katie Zibley.
In Olympic news, well-known American snowboarding star Shaun White has rebounded and guaranteed himself a spot in tonight's half-pipe final. It is set to air live on NBC at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. But the big news is that Shaun White confirmed what most of us feared, that this would in fact be his last Olympic competition. Shaun White said, quote, "I have given it my all. There have been some ups and downs on the way to get here, and with that, I feel that I have gotten stronger and better. I am Louis Eisenberg."
In other Olympic news, Iran's only male athlete, Hossein Shamshaki, failed a drug test in Beijing before his alpine skiing competition. Hossein was suspended and did not compete in what was to be his third Olympics due to a positive anabolic steroid test. Russia figure skating champion Kamila Valieva also failed a drug test, but still competed and led the Russian Olympic Committee team to gold. It was discovered that Kamila tested positive for trimetazidine, which halted the medal ceremony for the event at the Beijing Olympics. I'm Karamia Valentine.
Since snowboarding was added to the Olympics in 1998, watching some of the most talented athletes in the world hurl themselves into the air has been something all Americans sit down to watch every 4 years. But out of all these athletes, only one has been recognized as the king of his sport. 35-year-old Shaun White started his career at the age of 19 and quickly rose to fame because of his daring stunts. Sadly, he has announced his retirement from competitive snowboarding, with his appearance at the 2022 Winter Olympics marking his last. I'm Connor Markey.
In the world of soccer, West Ham United confirms that Kurt Zouma has been fined the maximum amount possible, £250,000, after a video circulated about the player. He was seen dropping, kicking, and slapping his cat. The Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals is investigating. Zouma delivered his cat to a charity for treatment. 160,000 people signed an online petition for Zouma to be prosecuted. I'm Sergio Sania.
Finally, music pop artist Adele has taken the music industry by storm, winning 3 Brit Awards on February 8th. She was the artist to win the most that evening, and she managed to take home Artist of the Year, Album of the Year, as well as Song of the Year, which were all dedicated to her son Angelo and ex-husband Simon Konecki. The star of the night ended her glory with a performance of her song, I Drink Wine, which received a standing ovation. I'm Gretchen Lemke Peña, and that's today's iPulse News. Thanks to director Jazeel Ramos and producer Martin Phillips.